moment it's just broadcasting my blank. No, where do I go? I've gone out of that. Where do I go to producer? Now I'm like, where do I go to producer?
Which one are you in?
I'm in Restream, but I've suddenly now it's like weird. It's like I've gone into it, but I haven't got the picture of. I haven't got the picture. That's weird. Where's it gone? That's weird. Hang on a minute, maybe. Whoa, this is so weird. I normally have live producer and I can see stuff, and I haven't got that. I've gone out of it, but there's normally enter live studio. Okay. And
that's on Facebook here. Or...
it's supposed to go to Facebook. I can you tell me if I'm live on Facebook?
You were 9 minutes ago.
Yeah, but that was with, it says live on custom streaming service. It should be a picture of me.
Yeah, it's going to go to Facebook. That's what the can you tell me? So yes, it's live.
Send me access. He said I sent him access above.
Should be a picture of me. No, it's not. It just says Lisa Hamilton, so I don't see video.
I'm not live yet. There's no video. It's just a picture of the name. I think it takes a name, not the picture of me. I don't know why.
The reason is subtitling everything you said.
It's subtitling everything I say.
Yeah, so
I'll be really careful what I say then. That's subtitling even though I haven't got the screen up. That's really interesting. So I have to mute.
Hello, Lisa.
Okay, sorry, severe technical difficulties on this front. Hello. You can hear me now, right? You can hear me. We should have video in a minute. It won't. Okay. Yeah. Okay, we're there. I've got someone telling me, am I live? The stream was, thanks. Welcome.
Are we live?
I'm so sorry. It's like no matter how many times I do this, it's always like at the last minute there's a little thing. I had to reset the stream. And anyway, we're here. We're now live everywhere.
Hey, hello everyone.
Hello everyone. Yes. So welcome. So good evening everyone, and welcome to Real Life with Lisa. And just mute my phone because it's making all sorts of horrible noises. And tonight we have a very unusual guest in John Patrick Muller, and he's got quite a story and quite a mission, which I think you're going to enjoy. So that's why I'm so happy that he's come to talk to us tonight. And so without much, I'm not even going to give you the build up and give you all, I'm going to let you tell your own story because it's so special and people are not going to believe what you've been and done in the past and what you do now because it's such a great story. So just jump in and fill us in, John. Tell us.
Well, hello everyone. I wish I could see you all because I can't see you, so I have no idea who I'm talking to, but I'm getting a sense. So my name is John. I used to be a professional counselor, then I became a Buddhist monk. I moved into a meditation center, and as a full-time meditation teacher, I decided to take what I was doing and turn it into an online business. And that led me on this journey of like figuring out entrepreneurship, figuring out marketing, figuring out how to sell, which was maybe my hardest part, and just being a leader, right? And yeah, so now through different things, I've learned how to, first I became a digital marketer, helped other people to get clients. Then I launched my own spiritual coaching business successfully enough that I was able to get my own clients and built it after that. And now I do two things now. I still do spiritual coaching. I still help people with spiritual foundations and transformation. So usually people want to accomplish certain goals, but without the right spiritual foundations, it's hard to build the palace of the life that you want without a ground, right? We need like a solid ground. And so one of my main things is I help people with, yeah, well, whatever transformation they want, but specifically, it's kind of difficult to get the foundation stuff that I can teach somewhere else. So I help people with that, plus business. So I help, because of the marketing I've learned and just my understanding of psychology, I've been able to help other spiritual coaches and healers to get clients for their business, usually at the beginning stages. Usually if they're, you know, still working on like the first bunch of clients, or they're still trying to get like the $5,000 to $10,000 months, and for like a heart-centered healing or coaching business, this is who I like to help, people who are still getting the basics in place and getting those clients. So yeah, that's what I do.
That's what you do in a nutshell. So I like to think of you as a coach's coach, because you're a business coach, but you specialize in coaches who are light workers and heart centered. But I want to really dig in to.
Sure.
I need to go back a little bit, if I can, to when
Sure.
you were. You okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
When you were. Can I? I mean, I'm like, we're very open on this show. We just kind of ask the interesting questions. So, what made you decide to go off and be a monk? And because I think that's probably going to be relevant as to what you're doing today. So,
Yeah, that's a good question. I get that question a lot. So I didn't just decide to become a monk. Like, it was a very gradual process. So first I was a professional counselor and I just wasn't that happy. My life didn't feel very meaningful. I wanted to help my clients, but I didn't feel like I was able to do it that much. I was stressed out. It was my first full-time desk job. I had gone through a breakup a few months before that left me feeling like I didn't even know who I was. And I just had this like misery and stress and meaninglessness and all this stuff, plus this pressure of working, plus trying to help people. And I just didn't, my cup was like full of holes and shattered and broken and full of gunk, right? So my cup was like full of mucus and all that stuff. But I previously had
detail here. I mean,
it wasn't just like, you know, because some people have an empty cup. Most people who have an empty cup actually have holes in their cup. That's the foundation that I was talking about. So I had this, right? But we also have crap in the cup that isn't supposed to be in there, right? And so I had that too. I had guilt, I had shame, you know what I mean? I had stuff in there that was not supposed to be in a cup. And yeah, I'm trying to help people, and I'm drawing from this cup that has holes in it, plus is full of crap that isn't supposed to even be in there. And so anyway, I think hopefully other helping people, I like to work with people who help people, you know, people who are heart-centered, good-hearted, you know, this is who I care about, to be honest. And I would do anything for people who help other people, to be honest. And yeah, you're right. I coach coaches. I literally coach coaches.
yes.
So, go ahead.
And you've got you've got, you've been, I mean, I've known you for a few years. We kind of met, didn't we, in a community, and then we've crossed paths over and over. And so I've watched you just grow and grow and grow, and you run an incredible mastermind now, which I have the privilege of being part of. But I mean, so for struggling entrepreneurs, because I think, you know, you weren't always successful in the beginning. Most of us have to start somewhere, right? And you rebuilt yourself. So you ended being a monk, and then you went on this journey of would you say transformation for yourself, basically?
Oh my God. Yeah. Do you want me to talk more about that? I didn't really get all the way into it. So
Yeah.
basically, I had already, from psychology, my path into spirituality was through psychology, pretty much. So I had an interest in psychology. I wanted to be a real therapist. My job as a substance abuse counselor was just a stepping stone so that I could get into graduate school so I could be a licensed therapist. That's what I wanted to do. Okay. And as I was graduating from my last year of college, I started getting into spiritual things. My spiritual potential started to awaken. My eyes started to open a little bit. Every month I looked back and I was like, wow, I was so like cloudy and unclear last month compared to where I am now. The next month I'd say the same thing. and I started to like find nice spiritual books. The one that had the most impact on me was a book called Buddhism Is Not What You Think. And it was about Buddhism And it was from a Zen Buddhist, master, we could say. And yeah, so basically that book blew my mind wide open and like taught me the psychology that I really wanted to learn. Like when you learn psychology, you're learning from people who don't really have a complete understanding. Plus all the theories and stuff are just the ideas of usually just ordinary people, right? And so there's the ideas within psychology are like some are pretty good, some are not that good. Like there's good parts to all of them, but they're just not that great. They're not complete, and there's no real transmission through deep personal experience that you find within spiritual traditions, right? And so when I found this book on Buddhism, it blew my mind open. I was like, whoa, somebody got it right. Buddha got it right, and I felt like finally was learning the deep psychology and understanding of the mind that I knew was possible. And I just wasn't finding it anywhere else. So for me, that it resonated. And that put me on a journey of going to the bookstore and buying lots of books on other spiritual topics, not just Buddhism, but other things too. And I realized when I was going to the bookstore that what I really wanted was a teacher. I wanted to learn from somebody from their own experience. And I was getting books, but I was looking for a real teacher. That was in my mind. Like I wanted to learn from somebody from their own experience, ideally who had like complete experience of the whole spiritual path. And I just somehow in my mind, I just knew that was possible. So I found a book called 8 Steps to Happiness in the bookstore. And on the back was a picture of the monk who wrote it. And he is a Tibetan Buddhist monk. And he just looked so happy and free and joyful. Like his joy looked like so free. It had the most freedom within his joy that I've ever seen. And I just looked at his picture. I was just like, I want to be happy like this guy. Like, I bet you I could learn how to be happy from him. I want to learn from him. And so anyway, I got the book and I read it, and I had other books too, but I read that one and I really started to practice what was in the book. He taught a very special way of meditating that I'd never heard before, that essentially builds amazing spiritual foundations to support your meditation practice, so that you're not relying on just meditation to have results of meditation. You build this whole, it's like growing plants in a garden. When you plant a seed in a garden, that's how you grow a plant, and that's like meditation. But if you ignore the soil, that's like ignoring all the other practices that could be done. And so he taught how to like prepare the soil, how to like take the dirt, how to like the junk out of the soil, the weeds and rocks, how to like fortify it with like nutrients, how to like bring the rain, how to protect it with like a fence around it. And then you meditate within that special garden, and that's how you get the most results. So he taught amazing meditation practices, but also those foundations. And that was awesome for me. It felt like scientific. It felt like I was learning a scientific process of transformation and not just like a shot in the dark practice of transformation. And so it worked for me, like it was good, right? But then eventually I put the book down and life kind of took over, and I just went on with my business. And I had a period of time where I wasn't that connected. I had kind of like gone on the wrong track a little bit. I chased a career in engineering after I graduated with psychology, and I had to get back on the right track. And that's when I came back to being a counselor. So I got on the right track. I ended up being a full-time counselor, and one of my clients came to me, and he was an 18-year-old kid. He had been with his friends drinking, and he was the most sober one. So he drove the car, and he ended up crashing the car, and his cousin died in the car crash.
Oh.
So this 18-year-old kid, who was a really good kid, right? He was in college. Now he's all of a sudden a client of mine at a substance abuse place, right? Because he has to. And he was generally just a good kid. But anyway, he told me about the temple. He's like, hey, did you know? He's like, oh, he saw like the posters on my wall. It's like, oh, do you like Buddhism? There's a temple right down the road. He's like, it's the only one like it in the whole country. It's very beautiful. Just go see it. And so a week later I went, and I just kind of wandered in without anything. I just kind of showed up, but they just happened to have a class that night. It was like a meditation class, right? And I was like, okay, I'll go. I paid $10 or something to go to the class, and it was just what I wanted. It was like exactly what I was looking for.
Right.
And that class was actually the introduction to a whole month of retreat. And I just happened to go at like the perfect time of like the very start of their retreat month, which is their most holy month, which is January. This is January 2012. I was 25. I was 25 years old. And so I was like, okay, I was like, I want more. So I went back the next day. I did 4 sessions of retreat, the next day. And I liked it so much that I went to the 7:30 a.m. session before work. I would like cut out the last 10 minutes so I could make it to work at 9 a.m. on time. After work, I'd go back, have dinner with everyone, do the 7:30 p.m. session. And then the weekends, I did 4 sessions a day on the weekends.
Whoa.
And that was my introduction. And 3 weeks into it, I had been like bothering one of the nuns with my questions, like getting her to like answer my questions. I had all these questions. I was like in my head, to be honest. And I had like intellectual questions. And one day after a session, she asked me, hey, do you have any questions? And I said, yeah, what does it take to move in here? Because I had seen there were other young people living there. And so I asked to move in. I went through an application process. 2 weeks later, I moved in, and I basically lived there for 4.5 years. And so what happened was like all the time, I just kept wanting to go deeper. Like I was really impressed by the people I was meeting. They were happy, they were kind, they were confident, and the teaching seemed to be working for everybody. I was enjoying the bits that I was getting and putting into practice, and it was working. But through the example of the other practitioners, I knew I could see what was possible. And I just kept wanting more. Like I didn't plan to live there for 4 years. I just wanted more each time, right? And so when I first moved in, they're like, let's try this for a month and see how it goes. Yeah. And we just never talked about it again. And so 6 months in, I'm getting like profound empowerments, and then I'm doing more like retreat. I started teaching meditation classes after 1.5 years of living there regularly. I literally didn't miss. I had a class 1 hour and 20 minutes off campus in a town in Pennsylvania, and I would drive there and back once a week. And I literally didn't miss a class 3 years in a row. I went there 3 years teaching that class. And over time, I started teaching classes at the temple too, sometimes even covering for the main teacher. If he wasn't there on a Sunday, I would do like the Sunday class when the community would come in. I led some retreats, some beginner retreats, a couple of things that were not beginner retreats. And yeah, it just kind of built over time. So I ended up being there for 4.5 years. 2 years in, during a retreat, during a month-long retreat, is when I received like a blessing that ordination was the next step for me. And so after the retreat, I told my teacher, hey, I think it's, I should become a monk. And I had been wrestling with it, right? Like while I was living there, I had some girlfriends. And so like, I knew what it was like. I had a 3-year relationship breakup before I went there. That was part of the suffering. But because of my practice, me and my ex-girlfriend like made up, and like she wanted to get back with me, but just like, it was like this time she wasn't ready. Like I wanted more, right? It wasn't the right fit anymore. And I dated some other people, which, some of it was really nice. And yeah, I was doing fine. My relationships were good, but I was always thinking like, maybe I'm going to become a monk. And I always thought that, a lot of people in that tradition, because there are ordained people and there's like this faith that develops when you see them, everybody thinks about it, but it's not always, not everybody does it. And so I didn't know what I was going to do. I had tried the relationship. My teacher never told me what to do. He always like, let me figure it out on my own. He always like, I would say something. He'd be like, well, there's benefits to both. He didn't give me any answers on that one. He let me go through it myself. But during that retreat, when I received like a blessing that it was the right path for me, afterwards, when I talked to him, he really encouraged me. He's like, yes, I think you would love it. It's a really beautiful path. I think you would really enjoy that lifestyle. And if you want to do it, you should do it this year. Okay. So that was in 2014. So it was like February 2014 where I spoke to him. That's, I guess, 7 years ago. And I was like, it was right after the retreat 7 years ago where I was like, I should do it. And he encouraged me. He said, you should do it this year. He said, timing is important with these things. Some people wait too long trying to be too perfect and they miss their opportunity. And some people take the other extreme and don't prepare their mind at all. He's like, this is not impulsive. You've been thinking about it for a while. I think you would really enjoy it. So he gave me a practice of taking the ordination vow one day at a time every day, just to try it on to see if I liked it without telling anyone. So I didn't tell anybody. He's the only one that knew. And I just like quietly was keeping this vow one day at a time every single day to see if I liked it, to try it on.
Yeah, good idea.
And I started to become more happy. I started to, to feel like more comfortable. And it simplified my life. Now, all of a sudden, when like a pretty girl would come to the temple, I didn't have this wrestling thought of like, should I go talk to her or should I not? Right? There's a German saying that says, he who has choice has torment. Right? And so when we take away some of our options, it actually makes our life simple, and it actually can give us some peace, right? And so the ordination is very much like putting guardrails on your path to happiness. Yeah. You're like, okay, I'm over here. This is the path to happiness. There's clear steps to get there. Over there, I'm going to put up some guardrails to keep myself on track. Now, ordination is not for everyone, but discipline and boundaries is for everyone. Everyone needs to put up their own guardrails and think, okay, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to cheat. I'm not going to steal. I'm not going to take life. I'm not going to hurt people with my speech. I'm not going to do these things to harm myself, drug addiction and whatever. Like, I'm not going to do things that take me off path. I'm going to stay, like, if you actually want to stay on the track, you must decide to not do the things that pull you off. Right. And so that's for everybody, but ordination is just a special way of doing that. And it's also a very physical display. You shave your head, you get a new name, you wear robes, no jewelry. It's a physical representation of the mind seeking freedom, right? Everybody who is a spiritual person is seeking freedom and happiness from within. And that's good. Everybody's doing it. But an ordained person, a monk or a nun, is physically showing that on the outside. They're demonstrating it with their appearance. They become like a symbol of personal freedom. Become a symbol of practicing a meaningful life. Okay, it's also symbolic. It's not just a practice. Also, you're literally wearing a sign that's saying, I'm in my spiritual practice. And then everybody that sees you is reminded of their own spiritual practice. They're reminded of what's meaningful for them. They're reminded of their own ethics and morality, right? So it's a beautiful thing to show it so externally. And that was the thing that I didn't expect. I didn't know. Like, I was getting my own benefit from it, but I didn't realize that it was going to help me to help people so much. So imagine you're talking to me and I look like this, and imagine it's 4 years ago when I wasn't as, mentally developed. Possibly we can get into a meaningful discussion. I could help you, but then imagine you're talking to me and I look like this, except for I look like a monk and I'm wearing the robes of a monk. They're very beautiful robes, right? And I have a Tibetan name. People respond differently and they don't small talk. People stop chatting me up for stupid small talk things and they got right to the point. They're like, hey, I have this question. This is what's going on. And I was able to really connect with people really fast. There wasn't all this crap in the way, right? Especially younger women. As a young man, there's all these defenses and stuff. And people are like, oh, ulterior motives and whatever. And I didn't care about that stuff. I just wanted to help people. But when you look like a monk, people allow you to get closer so that you can help them. So that was good. Plus, as I'm teaching meditation classes, there's a certain authority and power that comes. And so it helped me to connect with people. It helped me to help people. So that was really good. I mean, that was a really positive thing. Plus, I was 28 when I got ordained. I was at that age where, to be honest, I was a little bit of a late bloomer. I was in my prime in a sense. I would have found a girl, got married, had kids. I would have gotten pulled off my path. If I didn't get ordained, I almost definitely would be married with children right now. Married, possibly, and who knows if I would be still married. But I would have done it. I would have just gotten pulled off by something, and I wouldn't have had the chance to get as much deep progress as I've been able to make So it kept me on path, and it kept me like during the hard times, the uncomfortable moments, like when I was in my room, like going through some process and things are difficult and my mind's kicking up this crap. It kept me in the process of working with it and looking at it and not running away. And it allowed me to get through a lot of stuff that, to be honest, I don't think many people actually do. I don't think most people give themselves a chance to work through stuff. Even if they have the tools, they try to escape it in other ways, you know. And I had the tools, and I kept myself tethered to my practice, and so it helped me incredibly. Plus, it gave me a kind of a platform to help other people from. So, yeah, those.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my first 4.5 years I spent it at that temple. Then I moved. Then I did like a silent retreat. I did a 5-week solitary silent retreat where I was completely by myself, no talking, no eye contact to anybody. Just my meals are brought to me in like a tin every day. I meditated for probably 10 hours a day during those times, plus just took walks, and I was praying, and I did over 100,000 mantras during that time. That was part of my retreat. And I've done, at this point, I've done 3 retreats where I did 100,000 mantras during the retreat. And
Can I just ask, when you're doing 100,000 mantras, are you doing like 5 or 6 many times, or are you doing many ones many
no,
times?
it's the same mantra. It's
The same
same
mantra 100,000 times.
You hold like a mala,
Uh-huh.
and you just like say one, and then when you go through the whole thing, it's 110 beads, but it counts as 100 because there's a 10% margin of error. And so then you have another counter that has 10 beads on it. So every time you do 100, every time you do one of these, you move one, and that represents 100. And when, as soon as you move all 10 of these, then that's 1,000, and you can mark it down on something. You just kind of keep track. And after that retreat, I moved to Florida. I started teaching full time in Florida.
You were
I
still a
moved
monk.
actually
You were still a monk when you moved to Florida.
as a monk. Yeah,
Yeah.
as a monk. And you know, as a teacher, I gained even more progress because had to be on every day. I was like the example for the center, and I made so much progress because I had the opportunity to serve in such a big way that I became a really powerful channel for beneficial things. And
Yes.
that during that year, the end of that year, is when I realized that I wanted to turn that into a business. So
Ah.
that's a whole kind of different story, but basically those are the first 6 years.
Unbelievable. I mean, okay, so before we go on to then when you sort of went to the next stage of your life, so this meditation, you and I have talked about this, that I'm not very good at meditation, but for those who are listening, obviously you are an expert at meditation. You have taught it. You've been a monk. You've done. You know, my God, 100,000 incantations. I mean, it's amazing. Blows my mind. So, can you just speak a little bit about what is a use? Why do people meditate? I mean, seriously.
Why? Serious? Okay, the simple answer is to be happy. We meditate to be happy. And we understand that happiness comes from within, but suffering also comes from within. I did a post on my wall the other day where happiness comes from blank. And pretty much every answer was within, but that's just not very precise because suffering also comes from within. So where within? Where within is happiness coming from? Where within is suffering coming from? They both come from within. So meditation is the art and science of finding and cultivating the sources of happiness on the inside and stabilizing them so they become deep experiences until you eventually always have that positive state of mind. So essentially it's cultivating positive states of mind on purpose, not just randomly. Most people don't know how to cultivate a positive state of mind. They randomly feel love sometimes. They randomly feel compassion. They randomly are patient sometimes. They're like pushed into it. They randomly develop like an insight into something, and randomly gratitude, right? They don't have a practice of developing these on purpose whenever they want to. They don't know the mental steps required to develop this positive state of mind. And for most people, even the ones who can develop some gratitude, they don't know how to stabilize that positive emotion in meditation so that it just lasts a moment. It's like there, it's like an aha moment, and then it fades away, and your life doesn't really change.
Yes.
Okay. So meditation means cultivating these positive emotions on purpose and then stabilizing them, holding them in your mind until they become deep, pervasive experiences, extending these aha special moments until they're like 30 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, the whole meditation session, your whole life, right? So mindfulness is that practice outside of meditation. Mindfulness is important in the meditation session and outside the meditation session. But normally we would say like, the mindfulness in daily life is doing that, but you're not sitting down. And so you're just kind of keeping it near you. But when you're sitting down in meditation, you can actually stabilize that thought and literally stop thinking about everything else and absorb into one positive emotion so that it becomes deep and pervasive and huge and like transformative. Your life literally transforms, your heart opens, and then as you do this, you're like gaining a powerful tool that then you can use in your life, so that if something's going wrong and there's a little bit of traffic and you've already developed patience and love, you can like easily just go into patience and love for all the people who are in the traffic. Or if someone's yelling at you and you know how to be compassionate and you have some wisdom, you can clearly see that they're not talking to you in particular, they're talking to their mental version of you. And so you don't take anything personally, plus you feel compassion that they're suffering so much. But it's not just words, like you're actually doing it in a way where your mind is unflinching and you're just fully with positive emotions while this person's yelling at you, right? And so this is what meditation can do. It allows you to turn anything into just pure positivity and benefit for you and the people around you.
Do you know what? I have never, ever, ever had anyone explain it as well as that. So thank you. I've struggled all my life to really grasp it, and I've gone to lessons and had a go and everything, and I was asking you the question for my listeners, but also for myself, and I think that's perfect. I mean, why wouldn't you want to do it then if you're going to have access to a deeper happiness? I mean, that's incredible. And for someone who was telling my neighbour to go off, if you know what I'm saying yesterday, I wasn't doing that. I need to have more compassion and love so that I don't tell my neighbour to off.
and yeah, right. And I totally get it. And so when it's explained like that, it's just like so obvious why everybody needs to do it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, but the basic way to start though, you don't have to get all fancy. To start, you just take out your phone, put your timer on 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You said this the other day, right? Time chunking, whatever it's called. It's called. Hit this button for 20 minutes and just try to stay with your breath. And whenever the mind goes away, you bring it back to the breath. And that will give you practice at absorption into the breath, but probably that's real meditation is the absorption into one meaningful thing. But in the beginning, that's probably not happening so much. The main practice in the beginning is just the mental discipline and alertness to always bring your mind back and try to stay with it for as many consecutive moments as you can. 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, staying with the sensation of the breath as many moments as you can. So that's mindfulness that allows you to stay with it moment by moment. And it's alertness, we call it, that allows you to notice when your mind has gone away, and then you can bring it back with mindfulness again.
Which leads me to probably why you're such a good coach and a good coach's coach. Because, I mean, I was sort of taking notes as you're talking here. And, I mean, the ability to be disciplined and have focus and have boundaries and then be able to control your mind so that you don't go off in different directions, which again is coming back to focus. So your meditative ability has given you kind of a superpower. It really has, which you've now channeled into helping others in a different way rather than teaching meditation and being a monk. So what were you thinking when you went, okay, I'm done? So you can drink your water before you answer that.
Yeah.
What was the next step? What made you go, okay, now it's time to stage 2 of my life. I've got all this good stuff.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to end the good stuff. So And I still help people. I still help people with transformations now. It's not like I
Oh, no, you do. I simply meant that you did it in a different way, that you changed your mode from being a monk helping people.
right.
When you could have stayed a monk and actually do what you do today, could you not?
Um, it's kind of iffy because
Okay.
if you start to get mixed together,
Okay.
yeah, it's generally not. Yeah,
Okay.
there's some kind of thing there. So that's why I couldn't do it. But yeah,
Okay.
basically, yeah, what was I thinking? I was thinking two things.
Yeah.
So I was like, in a sense, I was like on top of the world in many ways. Like I was doing good in my role as a teacher, and I was personally feeling really, really joyful, like really good. And but I wanted two things that I didn't have. So I, my mind, I had this thing where I really love growth and expansion, and I just there, no matter how much I worked as a teacher, there's no way for me to grow my own
Mm.
really salary, right? I was getting like volunteers salary in a sense. And I also wasn't, they have a lot of rules. And so I couldn't like do like online courses and that kind of stuff. Like I knew that more people were online. Our center was small, right? And, we had regulars, we had people coming, but I just wanted to reach more people. I felt like I was good enough at this that I could impact more people if I opened it up to the online world. So I wanted that. I wanted more impact. I wanted to create income and wealth for myself, to be honest.
Mm.
And the other part was that I wanted to date. I was like getting this like itch inside, and I just like it was there, and it was like I had been working with it for years, and sometimes it wouldn't be there, and sometimes it would come really strong. But at a certain point, I felt like they have pretty much everything else, and I just wanted that too. And I really felt like there's nothing I could do. Like I had to go with it at some point. I felt like it was inevitable.
Mm.
So for those two basic reasons, I'm not saying the dating one was very good. I'm not saying that's a very good reason, but it was
It
part
was
of
for
the
you.
reason. It
Yeah.
was part of the reason. And so I kind of started learning about online business stuff. And the thing was, I didn't ever mean to become a marketer. That was not the goal. The goal was to learn marketing and business so I could apply it to my
Your
business.
own
Right?
business. Yes.
But because I was, uh, you know, I was I was still sort of under contract, I guess, by the meditation center. And every time I went to go promote something or do my own thing, they would tell me no. They would try to stop me,
Right.
right? And so by the third time, and they threatened legal action, I was just like, I don't really want to pick this fight. They're gonna win right now, probably, or I just got scared. And
Yeah.
so I was like, okay, I gotta pivot. But I had already learned all this marketing stuff, and I had kind of gotten the bug. I knew I wanted to do. I knew what was possible, and yeah, marketing is just psychology. So to be honest, I actually started really liking a lot of the marketing stuff that I was learning. I really liked it.
Mm.
And so I just took what I learned and I found other people to help with it. I found other people. I found a massage therapist. I helped her to get clients. I got her 30 clients in one single day.
I've heard that story. I know it's so impressive. That is really impressive.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, she was like pretty much my first client. She was one of my very first clients.
But that's because sometimes people who are in the helping professions, I think they're so deep into what they do, especially heart-centered people. They cannot. They're just so lovely. They don't like even think about marketing or money. It's like that's not their language. They're very focused and beautiful souls, so they need people like you. I've noticed that. It's definitely it's very like a business. That's why you're exceptional, because you've got all from that sort of heart-centered world in your meditation, and you have a beautiful heart, but you have a masculine energy in there as well, which is we've got to make the bills and make money, and that's it. So you're the best. You're very balanced. You're very yin and yang, and I think whether they're male or female, quite often a heart-centered coach is a little bit more on the female, and it's like it's the masculine that's the business side. So you obviously help them with that, balance that out.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I agree. Like even if everybody knew all the marketing stuff and they had the skills, even if they did and they devoted like it took me years to of like really really deep. I took my monk meditative mind and applied it to marketing. As bizarre as that sounds, is what I did. And because of the concentration I had, I was able to like deeply absorb some of the concepts in a short amount of time. But I devoted a lot of time. So even if other people did all that, it's still helpful to have another person that, having two minds on your business, right? It's hard to kind of like be in it and to see it at the same time. Like even though I had this, I needed coaches to help me. Like even though I had the deep experience as a monk plus the experience of marketing, I didn't have big success until I got coaches. Okay. And so it's because people need, it's like we can't see if we're in it. We can't see if we're in it. It's like being in a maze. You can't see the maze until you like rise up above the maze, and then you can look down. So, we all have kind of moments in meditation where we like see the whole thing, but it helps to have a coach, to have two minds on something. So anyway, it's very helpful.
Well, I mean, we are now looking at the beginning of a massive coaching industry. I mean, I think they were talking about, I forget what the numbers were, and Dean Graziosi gave us a percentage. I mean, he said it was going to be like 300 billion or something, but I think
it says 350 billion.
But I've heard 700 now because of what's happened with coronavirus, and I think it's becoming sort of acceptable. I mean, like in America, because I'm obviously in England, coaching was far more acceptable 10, 15 years ago. But we were still a little bit like, we didn't do therapy, we don't do coaches.
Right.
But it is changing. Even the hard-headed Brits are changing, and we're now, but not just like life coaches. You're getting communication coaches and value coaches and brand coaches and I didn't even know you could be a coach in half the things I see coaches for now.
No, it's good. No, it's really good. Like all the specific niches are like, that's where it's at.
Yeah. And so how do you describe your niche?
Good question. I probably need to hire a coach to help me say it better. So I can just say like I help heart-centered coaches and healers to launch and grow their business in an aligned way, especially if they're at the beginning stages. So that usually, when I say that, people kind of get it. And I'm like, without lots of technology, without losing yourself in technology, without compromising your values, even if you don't know where to start. And so when I say all that, they're like, okay, I think I get it. Right. So how would I describe a niche other than that? Spiritual business coach, I guess.
Yes. Or business coach for spiritual oriented people. Which is, and like I said, I think that obviously it's why you're doing so well, because you're so relatable for that niche. I mean, because as a coach, they've got to see into what we have to offer and see themselves in our message and our story and who we are. And your big heart and your wisdom that you've created, this like this pot of lots of information, vibes and vibration that it just fits for the people you serve. I can imagine this. I mean, just to say, like people you don't serve, some sort of I'm gonna sell the fuck out of people kind of guy is probably not going to be your client, because that would have a different energy and it wouldn't work for you, and he wouldn't want you and you wouldn't want him. So you definitely are very specific, but you're with all the nice people.
You know what? Like I chose who I wanted to work with. Like at first, I thought I was going to be a coach to help people who are like stressed out with depression, anxiety, and I just started to really think like I don't actually want to hang out with these people. I don't want to talk to them. There's a kind of a gap in consciousness that it's just like not my favorite thing. They're like too far behind. But like what I love and who I would hang out with every day, I would pay to do it. Would be to hang out with like the people in our mastermind who are heart-centered coaches, they're leaders, they're healers, they're spiritual people who have some business aspirations, or they're like killing it with business. That's who I want to hang out with. And I'm now able to work with people who are doing that. That's the advice that I was able to follow, which is like, do you want to hang out with your ideal clients? Like, do you wake up feeling pumped to help, to like talk to them? Right. And so that finally came true for me. And, it was like a choice but like I chose it kind of later than I probably could have or should have. Like I probably should have chosen it a little bit earlier. I would have gotten results faster. I think I was like holding myself back because I didn't really want to do the business that I thought I should do. If that makes sense.
But that's very much, excuse me, I really got a funny voice tonight. But that's part of the journey, I think, of becoming a coach. Is it you go a little bit left, a little bit right, a little bit up, a little bit down, and then you find, I'm still on that path. As we know, I'm still just trying to. I'm now considering myself sort of a resilience stroke action coach, and I'm not quite sure what word it is for that, but I realised that in my podcast, I work with a manifestation coach, and she's all spiritual, and we think this and we think, which is great, and I'm the one that says, well, that's great, but if you just sit there just doing this all day long and nothing's going to happen, we need to have that wonderful mindset, that wonderful heart set, and then we need to take actions from there. And I'm the one that's always saying, when we're analysing our guests, I'm going, look what she did. And she's going, look what she felt. And it's really interesting. And, and at first it was kind of like, well, actions, and a lot of people will know this, actions without the right mindset don't get anywhere. And you could argue mindset without the action is going to get you there maybe in the end, but mindset and action, massive action, as Dean Graziosi says, will get you there faster.
It's certainly both, right? And like our mindset cannot really be perfected in a bubble. We have to take action to learn, to make mistakes, and to get experience, to make adjustments to our mindset. Like you cannot perfect it if you just sit on a cushion.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just not possible.
Well, unless you're Buddha, and then you can just sit there and smile all day long. And
you forget action as well. Like action is part of it. Like we need to take. Yeah, we need. I agree that we need both. And my role in my business, I had a business partner for a while, and my role was like that. Like became more about the structure and the action and the results, and like, let's do something, let's ground this so that it's clear and you can actually experience a result from this. Lofty thinking feels good sometimes, and I think a lot of people are just hesitant to ground.
Yes, but I think this year 2021 we're in the point where we're starting to reconnect. I mean, I don't know what it's like in America, but in England we've got a huge amount of people vaccinated, and we're starting to think about what we're going to do post-lockdown. And it's actually a sort of fascinating, exhilarating and terrifying time, because we've all been locked down in this strange world for so long. And now we've got to open up. I don't even want to be near people, just because I haven't been near people for so long. But this is going to cause, I think, some more like ripples on the water. And so people are going to need to meditate to maybe deal with it. A lot of people are going to need to start over and rethink their whole life. A lot of people are furloughed right now, or living off stimulus checks that are going to stop when this whole thing ends. And so we're at a fascinating time where it's like possible to make your dreams come true, but it's also possible to sink and drown. And so we need coaches more than ever, which is why, we're so glad you're here. So I have one
I think the opportunity for coaches right now is huge. The opportunity for online coaches right now is huge. I think everybody who's thinking about doing it should figure out how to do it and just do it.
If you have something to offer, if you have an area where you know something you can help someone with, even if it's like, I don't know, you make paper mache, it's amazing. I met somebody on a group, and she was some kind of knitting expert, okay? And I mean, she was making a lot of money and loving her life, because she loved her macrame. It was some really unusual knitting. And believe it or not, there was a group in the world of 10,000 people that did this. I'd never even heard of it. But she put them together. She was educating them on how to do this stuff. And you're like, my God, she's living a life she loves, doing something that she adores, and all these other people loving to learn from her. So it's win-win-win. And, so have a good think. This is the opportunity. And then when then let us know what you want to do. So I'm going to finish up today with one classic question I ask everybody, and you've got to really think about this, because I always ask people, what is their deepest desire and dream now for the next 10 years of your life? So what's the next step for you? Big step. What's the dream? What's the reach?
Yeah. So I'd say on the business side, it's hosting high-level masterminds, like high-level 1-year masterminds. At this point, I still have not launched any of those. So that's for me like the best thing that I could offer the world is masterminds for leaders and coaches and healers that are like 1 year and very like a high quality container.
Yeah.
That's on the business side. On the personal side, I'm really feeling like the right relationship would really be so nice. And
Oh.
recently became single, and I'm ready for like intimate partnership, I believe. So,
So he's single and available, guys.
oh,
So and he's no longer among you. So
it's funny. They one of my students, I didn't know this until later. She's like an older woman. She called me the hunky monk. That was like
oh,
when I was a
I love that. The hungry monk. That's good. That's so good. Oh,
I didn't know. I didn't know anybody thought that.
no.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no, yeah, like that was the first thing I thought of when you asked, and it's just it's fulfilling for me to have partnership, different types of partnership, even business partnership. Like I'm a very collaborative person. I love connection. I love intimate things. And so, yeah, any type of partnership is very meaningful for me.
So and again, see what you're demonstrating is you're very self-aware. You know yourself, and that's from your meditation, that's from your quietness, where it's you with your relationship with God, soul, spirit, universe, whatever people believe. You know that you have that connection. And in my podcast, we've done 10 interviews. We've actually done more because we've pre-interviewed them. And it's like every time someone goes like they're living their dreams, and we go like, so why? And we ask them questions. It's because they know who they are. Because they didn't always know it intimately at the beginning. But interestingly enough, the ones who got there faster did. They had this sense of who they were. They had this sense about why they loved art or why they loved dogs or whatever. And even as children, and they've continued to be true to that message within themselves. And myself also, because I was told to go to business school rather than have horses because I would be in entire poverty if I did horses. And I went and worked in the city of London, and I hated it. And luckily I had the braveness to go, this isn't going to work for me, and quit and then change my life. But so I've experienced that, not listening to myself, listening to myself going, I know what I love, then everyone going, that's stupid, and going against myself and doing what I thought was right, should do because it's sensible, and then actually freeing myself on the other side of that. And my life isn't perfect, far from it, but when I look back, I mean, I don't regret that decision at all. Even if I had this humongous multi-million-pound house because I'd stayed in the city as a banker, that isn't the life I would have wanted looking back. So but that is know yourself and ask yourself, and that's where your meditation comes in. So, right. Oh my God, thank you so much. It has been such a pleasure to talk to you. I knew it'd be fascinating, and I hope that the viewers have, yeah. And this goes live, and then it goes repeating. It goes into our Real Lives with Lisa library. So I'm afraid you're going to be with us for a long time now. But what I will do in the future, I hope, is we're doing it with the podcast too. Like every year or so, we're going to go back to the people we've interviewed and find out what you're doing. So we'll be checking in when you left it.
Boy.
Yeah. Married and very successful and have big mastermind.
Hosting year-long masterminds all day long.
It's been a complete pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, John.
Thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate it, and we'll have to have you on my show sometime as well.
Brilliant, absolutely lovely. And just if you would post on my Facebook page any links you want underneath, because I don't actually have your links. If you wanted a group link or anything.
Okay, right now the link is connectingamazingpeople.com.
Okay, connectingamazingpeople.com. That's easy. I can do that. Okay.
To find out more about me and what I do and learn how to launch and grow your business for free, you can watch the masterclass that I made. It's only 30 minutes long. And if you want to get on the phone with me after, you can book a call from that page.
Okay, right. I shall put all that on there. Brilliant.
I think if you pay attention to the email sequence, you'll get like a special program about how to find your niche as well.
Okay, I shall mention that. Finding your niche. Yeah, and he is incredibly good, everyone. I highly recommend him. All right. Okay, it's been charming. I will see you soon in the mastermind. Take care. Bye bye now.